We're visiting with Eric Lappe here in Spearfish. And Eric, we're going to do a little reminiscent of your State B 1992 basketball championship. But before we go back to March 21st of 1992, talk about growing up in Harrold and playing basketball.
Yeah, Harrold's a small town. You know, sometimes I laugh because when people say, "Oh, I grew up in a small town. There was only a couple thousand people," I'm like, "Oh, you have no idea what a small town is." I think there was 185 people when I was in school at Harrold. And the high school itself, there was 29 kids, 9 through 12. 2 of those kids were foreign exchange students. I had the largest class in school. I had 10 kids in my class. The class below me, I think they had 3. So, small town, but it was great. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. The guys that I played with on that team, I grew up with my entire life. I knew them, almost all of them, from the day I was born. We would go to the park and play outdoors. We didn't have open gyms. We didn't have structured scrimmages and that kind of stuff. It was just kids running around, playing games, and just enjoying life. We didn't really have organized basketball until I was probably 4th grade, maybe 5th grade. We refereed ourselves. We just kind of played and had fun and enjoyed it. And fortunately, we had some guys that were, really skilled at it. Not just me, but Brian Marceau was on the team. He was excellent. Quentin Bauer was my cousin. He was a grade below me. He was, very, very good. And Joel Engel and Bill Scheid, John Unkin, Kate Caldwell. Those were kind of the 7 guys that played when I was a senior. It was great. I know a lot of times people compare Harrold and Warner to the movie Hoosiers, and there's a lot of similarities in that. Only I kind of wish we were as big a school as the school in Hoosiers because we weren't even that big. So, like I said, it was great. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Playing with friends and your cousins growing up, did that make a difference toward that run for the state championship?
Oh, absolutely. We had great chemistry. There were so many things that we did on the floor that we never had to say words. We just look at each other and know exactly what we were thinking the entire time. Me and Brian especially, we were connected all the time. The old expression of you could finish each other's sentences, we could finish them before we even got into the second word a lot of times. We just worked so well together. We understood each other's strengths and how to maximize our talents and everything. And, and again, I just think a lot of times you hear that word in basketball, chemistry it's so big a lot of times. Your really good teams have really good chemistry. And I don't care how talented they are or how big a school they play in. Chemistry is a key thing. If you don't have to worry about anything off the floor or anybody being jealous of anybody or anything like that, it just makes it so much easier to play, to coach, to everything really involved with it. And all those years of just running around Harrold, running around doing whatever we wanted to do for the most part, that really built a lot of that.
How about your freshman and sophomore and junior years?
My freshman year, we were 500-ish. We weren't too bad. We were just kind of undersized really more than anything else. My sophomore year, we kind of took off. We took the next step. We were 20-3. We were ranked all year in the state, and we just happened to be at the time they didn't have the Sweet 16, so you were in your region, and it was more of a geographical thing. And our geography kind of worked against us. At the time, Northwestern was the powerhouse in the state, and they had the Buckeye twins, and they were just crazy good. And we ran into them in the regions. Otherwise, quite frankly, I believe that if we'd have been in any other region in the state other than that one, we would have been at the state tournament. And then my junior year is kind of the same thing. We ran into the Buckeye twins again. In the region final, we lost to them by 2. I had a shot at the buzzer basically to send it to overtime, and it rattled in and out, and that was pretty crushing, honestly. That was really, really tough to take for a few days after that, and especially going to the state tournament the next week and watching them win the whole thing and really not even being tested. It really planted a seed in us as a team my junior year that we just weren't going to allow that to happen, no matter who we had to go through and what we had to do to make it happen. And we weren't necessarily thinking in terms of we were going to win the state tournament, but we were just going to get there. That was the goal. And then whatever we could do at the state tournament was just going to be icing on the cake. And But I think a lot of what happened when I was a senior was planted when I was a junior, for sure, in that kind of heart-crushing defeat to Northwestern.
So when you're a senior, you accomplished that goal. You made it to the state tournament. The championship game was on Saturday, but you also played Thursday and Friday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we played two really good teams. Stickney, I think, was rated 5th in the state when we played them, and it ended up a 5-point game I think we won by. And then the next night we played number 1 seed, number 1 ranked all year, Irene. They were undefeated. They won the football title in the Dome earlier that year. They had all kinds of athletes. They had 9 or 10 guys that they could just interchangeably bring in and out all the time, and they were difficult to deal with because they were not just athletic, but they were physical and they were strong, and they really tried to impose their will. And fortunately, we were able to kind of pull away at the end. My cousin Quentin, he made I think 9 out of 10 free throws down the stretch to kind of extend the lead and let us pull away, and we ended up beating Irene by 10. So that was we said before the tournament started that amongst the team, we said that we just, whatever happens. We're just happy that we could finally get there because it'd been such a struggle for such a long time for us to be able to do it. But if we were going to go there, we were going to do everything we could to win the whole thing, because why not us? And I even said in the paper that I want to play Irene and I want to play Warner. I want to see the best of the best. And those were the 2 best teams all year long. They hadn't really been challenged by anybody in any class. And, I just said I want to play them both, and we'll let the chips fall where they may.
Did you get any sleep that Friday night?
No, I was a teenager then. Sleep wasn't really something I was too worried about. Fatigue wasn't really a factor for us, honestly. We mostly played 6 guys most of the time throughout the year. So we did a lot of conditioning throughout the year because we couldn't afford to get tired. We didn't have nobody to sub in and out. We didn't have a deep bench. So, we were young. We didn't know any better. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't really understand the outside ramifications of what we were trying to do. We were just trying to win a few basketball games and have a good time doing it. We stayed up way too late playing Nintendo and watching TV and doing things we probably shouldn't have been doing. But at the same time, we didn't play till 8 o'clock, so we could sleep as late as we wanted to. So, that's teenagers for you, I think.
The gym in Aberdeen was packed out, standing room only, and a raucous crowd. You weren't all that nervous?
Well,
don't tell me. Don't tell me it was just another game.
No, it wasn't another game. But the pressure wasn't on us either. It was on Warner, and that's no doubt about that. They were number 1 or number 2 all year long. They were supposed to win. They were the favorites. And we were just this nice little story that probably wasn't going to win the whole thing, but it'd be a fun story to tell someday. And, again, it was just one of those things where we could just relax and play. We didn't have a ton of tension. Now, we were nervous. I'm not trying to say we were, totally ignorant of what was happening. It really helped us, and I don't know if it hurt Warner, but it helped us to have such a devout following because, like I said before, Harrold's only 185 people, and there were 9,000 people there probably, and 8,500 of them had to have been cheering for us. So we had a lot of support from a lot of places and people that had nothing to do with us, quite frankly, other than they just liked the story of the small school and the Hoosiers aspect of it kind of thing. From memory, I don't remember a ton of the game. Obviously I have the DVD and all that kind of stuff, so I've watched it a lot, but the only thing I really remember from memory is the national anthem before the 3rd and 4th place game. I was like, let's speed this up. Why are we singing so slow? And, and then the next thing after that I really remember from memory is after the game, talking to Brian in the locker room because he had to get stitches after the game because he got cut on his head and stuff. So, it's just one of those things where I wish I had a little more personal memory of it than just using the DVD to try to remember things a little bit, piece it together that way. But, it is what it is. Hopefully one day, maybe it'll get a little older, it'll be a little fresher.
When we interviewed official Randy Thomas, we asked him about his memory of great games, and the first game he mentioned was this one.
The Warner-Harrold finals, when Warner was up 8 points with 2:59 to go. And that was when the three-point line kind of just came into effect. And Eric Lappe buried all those three-pointers, and they ended up winning 84-79. Harrold did. It was the largest Class B school playing the smallest Class B school.
And Eric, you got in foul trouble in that game. Did that make a difference toward the end?
Yeah, I mean, it made a difference in the first half of the fourth quarter. Once I kind of got to about 4 minutes left in the game, it was going to shake out how it was going to shake out, and I didn't really worry about fouling too much. It wasn't the first time I'd been in foul trouble in my life, and I'd kind of learned how to play the game a little different once I was in that situation. So it made it more dramatic. It definitely put a little edge on, every whistle that got blown was a little more important. One of Warner's best players, Chris Roselle, he ended up fouling out of the game. So, whistles count. They make a difference, and, officials play as much a role in the drama sometimes as players do. They always like to say if they did a good job, no one noticed them. I don't know that that's necessarily true in our game. I think there were times when they made good calls and bad calls, depending on which team you were cheering for. And, I think they did as impartial a job as they thought they could do at the time. And, I've talked to Randy many times over the years, too, and I give him a hard time about, I don't know if you should have called that on me. I got a lot of booing and that kind of stuff. But we laugh about it. It's a good time. And, For me, it worked out, so I don't have any hard feelings or anything.
We talk a lot of sports here at Black Hills TV, and one thing that comes up quite often, Eric, is finishing up strong. And that's what happened in that game. Here you are, you're down about 8 points with about 3 minutes left.
Yeah, it's finishing strong. There's also a little bit of desperation there. Being down 8, you can kind of just empty the chamber and let it fly and see what happens, because it's not going to get too much worse than that. So there's a little bit of freedom in that too. I know that Randy talked about I made a bunch of threes at the end, but I missed a bunch of threes prior to that too. And I think a lot of people forget that sometimes. That sometimes you do have to persevere. You just got to keep playing your game and doing what is best for the team sometimes. And I didn't want to miss as many threes as I did, because I missed a lot more than I made. And but I also knew that when the chips were down, that was my role on the team. I was supposed to take us home and make plays and make shots when they were needed, and they went in that time.
That's the thing. There's a huge difference between making the threes at the beginning of the game and missing them at the end.
Yeah, there's a reason why some guys are called clutch and some guys are called chokers, and I like to think of myself as clutch. I don't know that everybody would agree with that, but it's to me, it's a mindset. It's not a physical thing. It's not how much you practice or how hard you work. It's about your determination, and sometimes you just don't accept things as they are, and you're going to do whatever you have to change them. So, I think that's definitely true of myself. I think the next 2 years, Warner actually went back-to-back state champions after that. So I think sometimes having that heartbreak really puts that fire in your belly that you don't ever want to have that heartbreak again. And I know for me, like I said earlier, it was my junior year that kind of put that in me to get us to where we were when I was a senior. And I think for Chuck Welke, junior, I think that happened to him when he was a sophomore, and they went back-to-back after that. So, it's definitely a mindset. It's definitely a mentality, and I'm not sure you can coach it. I think sometimes it just has to happen to you.
So here you are at the end right toward the end of the game. You get fouled, and you have an opportunity going to the line to absolutely put the game away. Do you remember what was going through your mind? And by the way, watching the video, you don't go to the huddle. You don't talk to anybody. You're just kind of walking around.
Yeah. I didn't want the timeout. I kind of knew it was coming. I looked at Warner's bench, and I knew they didn't have any timeouts. And so then I immediately looked at my bench, and I knew we had one left. And I was in the rhythm of the game. Like, I had it going finally, and I didn't want anything to interrupt that. And I actually ran over to my coach, who was also my stepdad, And I told him, I said, do not call timeout. I'm going to walk up here, I'm going to make these, and this is going to be over. Don't call time. We don't need to talk about anything. We all know what to do in this situation. And he just didn't want to risk it, mostly because we had a couple situations throughout the course of the year where we were in that situation and we made some boneheaded plays, and he just didn't want to let that happen at that moment. So he called the timeout, and I just was not very happy about it, and I just wanted to focus on what I was supposed to be focusing on. I didn't want to get distracted by anything, and so I walked around. I didn't know if the officials would even let me walk around on the floor, because I'd never seen anybody ever do it before, but they did, and so I knew all I had to do was make one free throw. That was it. If I made one, the game was over, and if I made two, just totally sealed it that much more. And so when the guys came out of the huddle, I high-fived every one of them. I said, I got this. We're not going to lose. And walked around, stepped up, went through my routine.
Speaking of going through that routine, I've never seen an NBA player or any high school basketball player do this little... No, what's going on with that?
That is not what I had done all year. I'm a big believer in free throws, and I was told this by my stepdad, that free throws are 90% mental. Like, you do the same motion every single time. It's just whether you're going to trust your motion to actually make it. And so what I'd gotten in the habit of doing through the years is I would change my free throws every once in a while. If I didn't feel like I had a good rhythm or it just felt weird for whatever reason, I would change my routine all the time. So in the first night of the state tournament, I missed a couple free throws early in the Stickney game, and it just didn't feel right. And I had to try to mix it up and do something different. And, I was always told follow through is so important all the time. And so that was a way for me to remind myself just to follow through, just do the whole motion. Don't leave it short. Don't short arm it. Flick your wrist, all that kind of stuff that coaches always, say. And so that's kind of where it came from, was the Stickney game, and I made the last two free throws to kind of seal that game, and I was like, well, that must work, so I just kept doing it. It wasn't anything that I'd planned or anything like that. It was really just a simple reminder to me to remember to finish the free throw.
So you win the game, you win the State B championship on March 21st, 1992. The crowd goes crazy. The radio announcers are going crazy. What was it like after that? And I know Harrold's not big enough to have a ticker tape parade.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, we didn't know what we did immediately afterwards. I've seen different videos where they've zoomed in on me and some of my teammates, and we were like, I don't have any idea what just happened. We were just kind of completely in shock about the whole deal. One of the best things that I really love about some of the videos that we have, and it's I'm not sure if it's on the Facebook video or not, but at the end of the game, they're handing out the awards and they're announcing all tournament team and all that kind of stuff, and we're just kind of standing around, applauding those who got the awards and whatnot. And at the very end, the very last person they announced for all tournament team was my younger cousin Quentin, and it was amazing. We were just all so happy for him, and we just got into a big huddle, and we just hugged each other, and it was amazing, and easily the specialist time I've ever had on a basketball court. It still gets to me today.
Yeah.
It's something that I always showed my basketball kids, that there's more to it than just winning and losing. There's so many things that you can get from basketball that outweigh how many games you won or how many points you scored or anything like that. And that's really what I remember most. That's what I value most from that particular game, is that kind of stuff. We had celebrations, too. We went home, and there was a big reception for us at the gym, and we all tried to get up and give speeches. I don't know how good they were, but we were just teenagers trying to do what we thought the pros would do and that kind of stuff. But it was probably a good month almost of just kind of almost every other night we had a celebration somewhere. We went to Highmore, went to Pier, we went to different restaurants. We went up to Gettysburg, which is almost an hour away, to have a meal up there, and it was great. It was amazing. It was it's what you would want to have if you had a chance to celebrate a championship.
Well, another cool thing, Eric, is you talk about team chemistry, builds community chemistry too.
Oh, absolutely, it does. There were so many people that even before we went to Aberdeen, we had our pep rally, and there were so many people who came back from literally thousands of miles away to just say congratulations and best of luck. And we got to talk to some of those guys, and we had some of the, my team wasn't the first state tournament team Harrold had ever had. We had a couple teams in the 50s, but it had been 40 years since we'd ever been to a state tournament since the 50s. And we had some of the guys on the 1951 and 1953 teams come back, and they talked to us and said, well, this is kind of probably what'll happen. These are experiences we remember. And some of those things were actually really, really useful, not to, get too hyped up and too excited, because then you waste all your energy in warm-ups and that kind of stuff. And so it was, it definitely brought back a lot of people to Harrold who hadn't been there in a long time. And it definitely, there were a lot of people who said they were, proud to be from Harrold again. So, that part of it's pretty cool too.
Well, Eric, thanks for taking time to visit about the state championship. What a special memory.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy to me that it's going to be 30 years next year, and the fact that people still kind of talk about it is quite honestly crazier to me, that people remember it that way, and like Randy said, listed as one of the better games that the state has ever seen is it's an honor, and it's a blessing to be able to have that distinction. So it's I'm happy to talk about it anytime to anybody. There are many people that will just come up to me randomly. I don't have any idea who they are, and they'll just introduce themselves and say, I was in Aberdeen, or I listened on the radio, or anything like that. And it's humbling to think that it's kind of had that reach and lasted through 30 years now.
Yeah. Well, congratulations again on that state championship.
Thank you.
Bounce pass. This is going to be Lappe going in, and Lappe is fouled as he goes to the hoop. And a foul is going to be called, I believe, on Roselle. Yes, Roselle got the foul. The score, though, is 73-68. If Harrold's going to do something, they got to do it quickly. Well, Lappe decides to penetrate inside, despite the fact he's got 4 personal fouls. It's kind of like he's made up his mind. He's got to create something, and something's got to get going offensively. Lappe, before he takes the free throw, always turns around, looks at the other basket, and motions like he's shooting the ball. Oh. He hits the free throw. Follow through. I know Coach Bauer, on a couple of his three-point misses, he was really stressing during a timeout on the follow-through, a flick of the wrist. 28 points for Lappe. Hits both the free throws. 73-67. Harrold needs the ball back. They need to stop Warner. Roselle holds the ball on the right wing. Goes around 2 people. Goes up and scores. Roselle with 20 points in the game. And now Marshall. Marshall into the middle. The shot is good. Marshall has it, but right now Harrold can't afford just to play faster. There's Bauer on a steal. Bauer to Lappe. Lappe takes the 3. It's good! 75-72. Individual record is held by Lappe now, but he wants the game. Here's Roselle. Roselle trying to go in. Follow-away jump shot. No good. He didn't get the pass. Yes, and he's playing on his back, and here comes Harrold. Marshall way out on the right wing. Pass to Engel. Engel in for the shot, and it's good! Turn around, Roger. 3 points for Engel. 75-74. 1-point lead. Warner. They're going nuts at Aberdeen. Warner having a ball. 2:05 to go in the ball game. Back in 30 seconds. You're listening to the State B on KGFX. got the rebound. Now Wilkie. Now the shot is up. And they call something. 3 seconds. I think they just called 3 seconds. Oh, they call a foul on Roselle. Pushing off. What a break for Harrold. And we will have Onken at the free throw line. That's a 73rd attempt. Still pro wise for Warner. And here's Harrold, only 57. And they got a chance to tie it right now. Onken at the line. The free throw. In and out, no good. It would not drop. Onken couldn't hit the clutch free throw. Ouch. Roselle with the ball. 1:38 to go. Harrold trying to stop him again. Roselle pass to Welke. Welke to Roselle. Ball knocked away from behind. Out of bounds it goes. It's still Warner's ball, though. Roger Gilmore here with a play-by-play along with Rod Fisher. Exciting championship action. Brick passes it in. They get the ball to Welke. Welke to the hoop will score. Welke is so good. You gotta call it like it is. He is an outstanding center.
And you can't teach some of the things he's doing out there offensively.
Lappe post up for 3. It's good! We are tied up. 77-77. Roselle with the ball. He gets the 2. Roselle got by everybody that time. Here's Lappe to Marshall. 2-point lead. Marshall on the outside to Lappe. Lappe for 3. It's good! Roselle goes to the hoop. Shot. Ball is missed or lost. Welke gets it. Harrold has it. Harrold has it. Ball comes out of there to Marshall. Marshall is fouled. 33 seconds to go. 80-79. Harrold has the lead. Marshall will be at the free throw line. Listen to the fans.
Timeout being taken by the Monarchs.
We have some happy fans behind us right now, but reminding you, it is not over. 80-79.
It's still up to Harrold to hit free throws right now, and then even at that, with the Brandner has been hitting some threes tonight. Welke can go out to the outside on the perimeter. Roselle can do it. So Harrold's got a lot to think about when they go back on the defensive end.
Marshall will be at the line. He's a good free throw shooter. He is 1 for 2 in this game. Lappe has hit 3 straight three-pointers. He shatters the individual record, which was 6. He has 10.
You can't hear yourself thinking this place tonight. I tell you what. This is one of the wildest atmospheres. This is what it's all about when it comes down to the state tournament.
This is what Class B basketball is all about, Rod. This is what it's about.
I think Warner's out of timeouts, too. Warner cannot stop the clock anymore. Harrold, I think Harrold, Dennis has 1 left hour.
We have Harrold. Now, here's the situation. Harrold leads by 1. Both free throws would mean that Warner would have to hit a 3. If Marshall cannot make but more than 1, Welke is certainly going to get the ball for 2.
In case of a jump ball, possession arrows to Harrold.
The free throw is missed. Marshall missed it. The last 2 free throws by Harrold have been missed. Here's Roselle. Roselle with the ball. And a foul on Marshall.
Not a bad foul, really.
No, we are not in the penalty situation as far as Harrold is concerned.
Harrold can still foul 2 more times before sending Warner to the line.
But oh, what a big missed free throw. Onken missing one earlier and then Marshall missing that one. And what won the game for Harrold last night is they hit their free throws down the stretch. Pass coming in. They can't get the ball in. And there's the tie-up. Harrold's got the ball. Possession arrow points to Harrold. Harrold got it now. They couldn't get it in. I tell you what, it was awful close to 5 seconds. Awful close to 5 seconds. And they couldn't save themselves because they're on a timeout. to Marshall. Marshall is immediately fouled by Roselle. And Marshall must hit him now. 21 seconds to go. Come on, Marshall.
Yeah, Warner cannot stop the clock. They're out of timeouts. Well, Brian Marshall's thinking about it. Lappe offering words of encouragement to him with that bandage is wrapped around his ears, and the way this crowd's yelling, it's amazing he can hear.
He probably can. He probably can. 21 seconds to go.
And Roselle's fouled out of the ball game. His 5th personal foul.
I didn't even realize it. So Roselle, so here's the game with a good game, 22 points.
Here's Jason Brander. He hasn't played up until the second half of this ball game in this tournament, and now he's thrown into this kind of situation.
Marshall must relax. The free throw, good. Well, with Roselle out of there, they've lost their main three-point shooter, but Wilkie can shoot from three-point range.
Here's a key free throw. This will determine whether Warner's offense goes for 3 or 2.
Hits it. He hit it. 3. And Welke can hit from 3. Welke dumps the ball off. Radner has it to Welke. Welke steps back for 3. Shot is no good. Rebound goes to Harrold. Harrold has the ball. There's 8 seconds on the clock. Lappe is fouled. Lappe is fouled. Harrold could be a champion. Harrold could be a champion. 82 to 79. 6 seconds to go. Harrold could be a champion. 1 free throw is all they need. And Lappe, the best free throw shooter on the team, is at the line. What a ball game.
Chuck Welke was down here crying for a foul, or not the coach Welke, because he felt that his son out there who took the shot got fouled. He wound up on the floor. I don't know. He's over now. He's arguing with Mr. Kleitlow.
He thought, I think what he's arguing about is he thought the foul should be called sooner than it was.
Yeah.
And Lappe did a good job of getting the rebound and then getting out everybody's way. He had Warner, 3 guys chasing him, but he stayed away from him and ate up some crucial time.
Look at Lappe. Eric is not even in the huddle. He's walking around. He has not missed a free throw tonight. Don't start now.
And I told you that during a ball game, Lappe will usually get his points.
Well, you know, it's
He's
only
got 3 3-pointers. He's got 4 in the game. He was missing them earlier.
it's only appropriate that Lappe step to the free throw line with a chance to ice a state championship away.
1 free throw is all they need. Lappe is there. The season is here.
He's thinking about it. He didn't even go to the huddle. During the whole timeout, he was not in the huddle. He was walking around on the floor. He had a towel. He was fidgeting with that. Now he goes through his motion.
6 seconds to go.
Warner's got to throw up a 3 if Lappe does miss. There are no rebounders on the lane for Harrold.
They'll use Welke or Brantner. They'll use Welke or Brantner. Free throw. Good. It is Harrold. And this one will clinch today. The second smallest school in the Dakota. Bring out the Hoosier anthem. The free throw. Good. It's all but over. It's all but over. Brantner for 3. It is no good. Rebound. It doesn't matter. The Harrold Cardinals are the state B basketball champions. The Harrold Cardinals win it all in Aberdeen. What a great victory. They were down by 9. They came back and won it. And they gave Warner the first defeat of the year. Harrold ends the season 22-3. The champions in South Dakota. I don't think I've ever seen quite a game like this. We've seen some great ones. Northwestern Lyman back in 1990. Clear Lake Jefferson High School girls basketball. Here Washington AA. But right here is going to rank as one of the better ones of all time.
I've been at South Dakota 13 years. This is the best one I've seen.
84-79. Dance in the streets. Harrold has a champion.
Eric Lappe.